We are going to continue with this image, and now I would like to take care of the surfaces of the product. First of all, the surface of this box of the lipstick, and after that, as you can see on this surface over here, we have a lot of scratches, so I'm going to show you how to do it fast to make it nice and smooth. So first of all, I'm going to start with this one. This one is very simple. And once again, for this, I'm going to use the pen tool. Pen tool allows us to work fast and don't really think too much on what we do. Of course, it's always useful to think a little bit of what we are doing, but just this little help will help us to not really focus too much on the problem and just do it fast. So I'm making the selection all around the areas, the major areas that I see the dirt. So just like this. It's not everything because we will have some more troublesome areas, but at first this should solve the major issues. I'm going to make the selection and feather radius at 1 pixel as always. And as I want it to be smooth, I'm just going to choose B or choose the brush from the tool panel and paint over it. We can take the sample of the color a few times to make sure maybe the color is not exactly the same. So maybe it will look slightly more realistic over here. As you can see, the color is slightly different. So difference help. It will make it look like the light is more natural. So this is it, and you can see it's not everything. I want to do a few more things over here. As I said, it's not finished because we have these parts over here. So let's make the selection here. And once again, I'm going to make the selection. I'm going to choose some nice color for it and paint over softly. Looks pretty good. We need to make sure that the transition between the colors is also nice. Of course, we don't have to make selection. If we feel comfortable, we can try to paint it closely to the edge, just like this. So sometimes, as you can see, if you are confident, you can just paint over. If the area is simple, but of course you need to be careful to not affect the edge in the negative way. So this is one, as you can see, a huge difference before and this is after. This looks absolutely amazing now. Of course, if we have some of the dust like the one we can see here, we can use just the clone stamp to make it better. And of course, make sure that we don't change the nice edge. So now here, and here we have much more difficult area. First of all, the dust over here on the darker surface, dust over here, pretty much everywhere, and this reflection over here. So as the reflection is natural, I don't think it nicely represents the product, so I think I will get rid of this. So let's start now, and we can try the selection in a few different ways. So if it would work, we can always try maybe with the quick selection tool, but I assume it might not necessarily work exactly because there's so many different edges. So we might use the technique that will take some time, but it will be easier to manage. So of course, as always, pen tool, and let's make the selection along the edges, like general selection as we always do. We don't have to get too close to the edge doing this. So this is important to remember, because if we get too close, we can change the other color. So don't get close to the edge, because you can notice that directly next to the edge, it's pretty good. It's not so dirty, except a few points like this one here. So these ones we can ignore, but just don't get too close to the edge. Just realize I'm getting a little bit too far. That's okay. I still can go here. So let's go down to here. I can't guarantee I'm doing the best selection at this moment. If there is a mistake, just ignore and do your selection that will be a little better and maybe save you more time. So, as I said, there is no guarantee. That's the best one. Now, of course, right, make selection, feather radius 1 pixel, and I'm going to make sure that I work on this clean layer to work non-destructively. I'm going to press B on the keyboard to choose a brush, and quickly I'm going to paint over in nice and dark color. As you can see, some areas are a little bit darker, some areas are slightly brighter. So I'm going to take a few selections to make sure the colors maybe not exactly the same everywhere. Let's have a look here. So that's it, the first step. Then I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller, and depending on you, if you feel comfortable to do it manually like this, maybe this time with the hard-edged brush, to make sure that we don't go too far, and also clone stamp whenever it's needed. We can paint it inside in these breaks. Also, I can see here some areas doesn't look perfect, so over here and this area here I would also do some corrections. Over here I will try to paint it in red, so everything can look a little bit more uniform, as you can see here. Of course, we need to make sure this is how the product itself was looking. So I'm simply trying to avoid the unnecessary reflections that would direct the affection somewhere else. So as I said here, I'm going to try to be precise and paint it over. As you can see, not everything goes so easily for me. So if you ever have some difficulties, remember, everyone has them. If we don't like to do it manually, just as I do it, there's always different methods. Simply just do selection again. As you can see, I got too close to the edge. It's not the big issue, because if we lazy to do a step back, you can just choose eraser tool and erase the affected edges. And I will continue. And fix with eraser tool. How much more? Quite a few. I'm going to do it quickly, and later I'm going to make sure it's perfect. But it's just important for you to know how it can be dealt with, and I think the message was clear how you can solve this sort of issues. And the last one. As I said, I'm going to look closer to the edges to make sure that it's done nicely. And for now, let's move to some other areas. So I have also this area on the top. Of course, what I'm going to do, I'm also going to make sure that these shadows inside actually look well. So if the product is not fully new, maybe it was used a few times or something, it seems like this product was slightly used. I'm going to make sure that inside it's clean, and if we have these white dots, that you need to remember that it can also be removed by the dust and scratches. So we just need to keep in mind that we have the other techniques that we already used that could be helpful here. So okay, let's remove this part, and then we are going to move to the next lesson. So once again, I'm going to selection close to the edges, not too close to not change anything. Of course, if it's important to mention, if you're doing the product photography for yourself, or you have the creative freedom and you think that the reflections should stay there as they are, I can notice I made some mistake. But as I say, if you think the reflections should stay as they are, it's absolutely fine, because it really depends on the person, or if the customer wants the reflection to stay, then of course you will have to keep them. But I'm showing you techniques in case you need them, and it doesn't really mean that you have to use them every single time. So here I did a mistake. I should go to the very bottom, but we're gonna do it. But for now, quickly, let's paint over this way. It's a little dark, but I think it's helpful in the way that it doesn't take away the attention. And a little bit more here. And that would be it. So once again, I will say this is how you can remove the reflections. As I said, it got a little bit dark. We can always change it. We can always make it a little bit brighter. So if the color is too dark, it could be maybe some darker shade of gray or something like this. But this is how you can clean the surfaces, remove the reflections if that's the request of the customer.